The following is a presentation of the iRacing eSports Network.
Three races have seen three different winners in the Radicals. This twitchy vehicle has almost seemed too difficult to tame, even for the best drivers of the PRL. But with the series returning to Japan, they are now faced with one of the more technical and demanding circuits the world of racing has to offer. Suzuka is renowned for being what is called a driver's circuit, where you can make as much of a difference behind the wheel as you can getting the car set up. So will we see another case of calm, collected driving win the day? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch Round 4 of the Precision Racing League's American iRacing Tuesday series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel and the iRacing eSports Network. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Taylor Burris. Behind the scene is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Ducky Beard. Taylor, this is not a track you want to underestimate. Describe Suzuka and its challenges for us.
Of course, and konnichiwa everyone, and welcome to Suzuka. Located in Suzuka, Japan, this 3.6 mile, 5.8 kilometer, 17 turn course is one of the most technical but yet beautiful racing circuits in all of Japan. Opened in 1962, drivers from around the world have come to compete at this amazing circuit in events such as the Japanese Grand Prix, the 10 hours and 8 hours of Suzuka, as well as World Sports Car Series Championships and many other forms of motor racing. To give you, the fan, to see what it is like to take on the tight twists and turns and figure eight style parts of the track, let's go on board for a GSRC lap guide.
All right, we've got Stefan Schlacker in the GSRC Radical, so let's do a lap around Suzuka. Turn 1 is going to require a lot of bravery because you're turning in before you ever touch the brakes. It flows directly into 2, which has a surprising amount of banking. While passes may happen into here, it'll still take skill from both parties to make it through. After that, you're immediately thrown into the S's. Staying online will be critical to getting a good lap time, but if you get stuck behind someone who's much slower through here, it's going to be supremely frustrating. That's because it's highly unlikely anyone will be able to overtake during this section. Stay patient and wait to set them up later where it's safer, or else you risk throwing away the car. Eventually, the S's dump you into the Dunlop curve, where you've got to try your best to get the power down as soon as possible. While it's not a super long run, you do get some speed, and winding up too wide into the Degners is going to be bad news. Be wary of the inside curves, because this car is not a fan of most of them around this track. From off the corner, you now approach the hairpin, which is one of the few good places to pass around this track. But the entry has this little kink which often causes miscommunication with drivers taking the defensive line very late. Try to square off the exit and apply the power smoothly because you're going to need every ounce of speed through here. This long arc towards Spoon Curve creates some awkward situations. It's a medium speed left-hander, so while there is some braking, it's not as much as you'd like. Plus, it's a double apexer around this sweeping bend, so side-by-side fights can carry on longer than you'd expect. The second apex is the tighter and more critical one. With it leading onto the backstretch, which is the longest acceleration zone of the track, you really don't want to put yourself at a disadvantage here. To add to things, it's also uphill. With the draft likely to bring some people side by side, expect there to be a game of chicken into 130R. And if both of you get through, then it's a test of who dares break later into the Casio Triangle. This is the other good place to get a pass done. However, finding the throttle is always tough in this car when you're going through slow corners, so don't be surprised if a few people spin out here. That finally leads us back onto the front stretch again, where as long as you've kept it all together, you've now hopefully finished a lap around Suzuka. Here you see a lap around Suzuka when the sun is still out. We're getting some serious cloud cover here right now, but we'll get to this qualifying session in a second. Now, if you enjoy the American iRacing Thursday series, it is sponsored by HFD1 Motorsports. They are one of the teams that competes here in the Radical Series, and they've decided to try and sponsor the series, I guess, for exposure. I'm not exactly sure. They just said that they wanted to do it. It was what I was told, but regardless, they're who to thank for why we have broadcast this whole season. So a big thank you goes to HFD1 for putting it all on the line, not only sponsoring the broadcast, but taking the cars out for competition here this season. Now, let's take a look at the championship. Starting with the drivers, it has been so mixed up. As we said, 3 different winners, but because of that, look at how close it is between the top 5. Overbay now finds himself moving up to the top spot with that podium finish, that incredible recovery drive he had. Paul Wildridge, with his win, jumps up 7 into the top 5 there into second place. Mark Feil gets bumped down 1 because he did not have a good race last time. Eric Harmon jumps up 2, and the only driver to really stay put in the top 5 is Owen McLaughlin. Still only 9 points between those drivers. Let's go to the team's championship. Taylor, fill us in.
Of course, so that team championship is already looking quite well right now. Right now, it's the Cash for Crash team with McLaughlin and Wildridge leading on by 21 points over the BO Racing team of Overbay and Padovani. Fraley's auto body was Feil, and Luke had a little bit of a rough week over at Road Atlanta, but have dropped only 1 position. But we do have a tie for the 4th position with 44 points back from the lead of the points. It is Banana Split Racing and the sponsors of our race, the HFD1 Motorsports team. Those 2 driver teams are looking forward to try to improve their stuff here. But Joe, to give the fans an opportunity to see what this racing series is all about, tell us more about the race details.
Absolutely. We are in round 4 here today. It's a short season. With this being the winter season for this series, just gave the drivers a little break over the holidays. They do have 1 drop week. You can see that's indicated by the little droplet. They're racing the Radical SR8. It is a spec car that runs in real life. The setups of the car is open, but they have restricted the fuel cells compared to what the real cars have. That means that you can expect 1 scheduled pit stop for fuel that they will take. The race is about 45 minutes long, and they have an instant cap of 24. That means they will be disqualified if they run over 24 incidents. That has really been an issue so far this season too much. And they have no fast repairs in their pocket. If they run into any sort of damage out there, you've got to come in and get it fixed. And that has taken an effect on a few drivers so far this season. As always, the keys to the race will make a difference in who is going to win today. Taylor, there's a lot that you could probably come up with around this track. So what are the 3 that you've picked?
Well, the biggest one is watch out for these curves on this track. Talking with Stefan Schlacker, as well as driving on this track personally here in the sim, these curves are very notorious, very difficult. Even just slightly putting the car off on the curbing will send your car either spinning into the barrier or spinning around on the track, causing other issues. Another point is that these straight line areas, you have to be careful of making sure to utilize a little bit of corner exit speed in order to get that good run down these front straightaways, especially coming out of the final corners of the spoon. So you have to be very careful to try to utilize best corner exit in order to make sure you get that run that you need to set up, especially for the I-30R, which very importantly is a corner you need to be careful with as well. That is our final key, to try to set up that corner as best you can to carry the most speed in order to try to make a passing opportunity before heading into Casio Triangle.
Well, we'll see who pays attention to those details and who will fall by the wayside. One real quick mention as well, this series, of course, being on IESN this season, we want you to try and subscribe to the iRacing Esports Network. Why? Well, it's not just this series you can enjoy on it. All the World Championship races are covered here on IESN, as well as many other private leagues. So there's plenty of action to follow. Make sure and hit that big red subscribe button. Looking at the qualifying right now, no big surprises. Kenny Duval on the pole once again. He has been very fast. Last race was really an outlier so far in terms of where he wound up on the starting grid, but still had a horrible race. Michael Overbay is one who is looking for a good finish as well, as he's got one win under his belt. He's got 2 podiums as well under his belt in this series. This is Padavani, another driver who lost out last race in the very first corner. Threw it out into the grass and fell down the order. He just went to 3rd on the grid. So that brings me to my question, Taylor. I know I've been rambling a bit. Is with all these good drivers and all the mistakes that we're seeing, the one that we've been waiting the most, I think, to finally get a win is Kenny Duval. Can he actually get a win today?
Well, the 2 biggest things that we need to see from Kenny Duval tonight is, 1, make sure he executes an excellent start of the race. We've seen him all season starting up on the front row or near that front row, but yet struggle to get off the line properly. So if Kenny Duval is going to be able to have a good night tonight, he needs to make sure he hits his mark on that start of the race. Don't stall the car. Another thing is probably show a little patience. Don't push the car too much, especially if you have a decent lead. Drivers seem to have that issue amongst other series, as well as even in this series, where drivers might have that strong lead, but yet decide to maybe push the car maybe a little too much in order to where they either cause a mistake or, even worse, put their car behind the wall.
Going to watch Eric Luke in the 09. He's just finishing his lap right now. He sits on a 53.7 there in 4th place. So as he comes around the final corner and across the line, that one is faster. That bumps him up into 3rd, 1 position up, a 53.6 now for him. Other drivers around him, they're looking to finish their lap soon. Looks like Jefferson Padavani is going to follow him across. He was the one demoted down to 4th by Eric Luke out of that 3rd place. Let's see if he can respond. He's only got 1 time lap in. No, he cannot. A 55.7 is the best you're going to see from him.
Yeah, Jefferson needs to have a really good start, as just showing very good consistent speed, but yet still is not able to close that deal. Curlin Andrews is another driver. He's getting ready to complete a lap right now. He had a little bit of an off, so that lap did not count. It comes down out of Casio Triangle. Let's take a look, see what his lap time is. I think he might be able to improve a 154.8. That still keeps him in P7 at the moment.
That looks about 0.2 off his current best time, which is a 54.6. He's got a little bit of work to do. Number of drivers are relatively close to our pole sitter, which is a good sign. Duval is a little over 1/10 off, but then it's very, very close behind him. It is 0.2 between the top 4 right now. That is Overbay, Duval, Luke, and Padavani. They're all pushing one another, looking for a bit of a cloud. This is Duval coming back across, sitting in 2nd right now. He got demoted down there when we weren't looking, and this lap will not count for him. Looks like he will go on another one, potentially. He's actually going what looks like a little slow right now. It's hard to tell if he's still on pace. This is Andrew Spicer. Gets himself up to 17th. Last lap, unfortunately, though, does not count for him as well. 57.2 is the fastest we're seeing for him.
Hey, Joe, I want you to take a look at the lap times between the top 4 and then all the way to 5th place. That's a good 7 to 8 tenths faster between Padavani as well as McLaughlin. So we could see a 4-horse race tonight if these guys stay out of trouble.
Ooh, yeah, that is a big jump down to McLaughlin. But we've also seen that a lot of drivers, as we take a look at Padavani, let's see, as he comes up to the chicane, we've seen a lot of drivers who have been fast but mistake prone, or have inherited the lead and then have thrown it away. So I wonder if McLaughlin could yet still come away with this. Our winner last time, as Padavani again does not set a lap. I think this is going to be his last time through. I think he crossed the line in time. We've seen a lot of drivers, including last time, who basically won by just keeping it pointed forward. Wildridge started in 9th place. He didn't really seem to have a phenomenal pace. It was just a tortoise and hare moment.
Yeah, and that's what's one of the most important things when it comes to racing is try to keep your nose clean, and you will be rewarded for that. I mean, we saw that last week with Wildridge where he took home the win, starting 9th, but gradually worked his way up through the field while others just made mistakes. Unfortunately tonight, I do not see Paul Wildridge in the session here, so this may not be a very good night for him if he doesn't show up in time.
Oh, and Charles Huffstetler was going to be the first across the line, but he's going to give up on this lap. Andrew Spicer, going to be the next one, also decides he's not fast enough to continue. David Hebert, I'm actually not sure. Is he Canadian? There's no, Mid-South. That's probably Hebert then. Is coming up to 130R himself. He currently sits on a 58.7, and he's in 19th place. He's second to last of the cars who've set a time. He might actually be the last car across. Looks like we're going to get Padavani after him, so he won't be the last one, and he is going to elect to cross the line. The finish line comes early here, and as he crosses, a 58.8 will not allow him to improve. Padavani sits in 4th place, 2/10 off the pole sitter. Can he find that much time in one lap? Number 23 decides to finish it out, so as he crosses a 53.6, becomes a 53.3. That is going to be good enough for pole for the number 23 car.
Very impressive.
And he is the last one to cross the line. Talk about changing results at the very last moment. Let's go to our starting grid here today. Jefferson Padavani somehow pulls it out of a hat with a 53.3 to take the top spot. Michael Overbay going to be challenging him starting from second, 53.4 for him. Kenny Duvall from the second row. Pretty good qualifying, so at least he'll have fewer cars ahead of him to worry about. But can he keep it together during the race? He'll start third. Eric Luke, P4 for him. Owen McLaughlin will start in 5th with Christian Gritzko starting P6. Then it's Curlin Andrew, who'll be 7th. Mark File starts in 8th, and then Matthew Gunderson 9th. Eric Harmon will round out our top 10.
Starting in 11th will be Charles Huffstetler, followed by Christopher Richards in the 12th position. Danny Duchesne will start in 13th, followed by Enzo Jesus Masilia in 14th. Estevirston Oliveira will start in the 15th position, followed by Tyler Gore in 16th. Andrew Spicer in the 17th position, followed by Phil Guillaume in 18th. David Hebert will start in 19th, followed by Ronald McManus, rounding out your top 20.
21st goes to the first driver who did not get a lap time in qualifying, Alberto Blasco. John LaBath starts next to him in 22nd. Bradley Hawley will be P23. Karsten Quint, 24th. And Matthew Fraley rounds out our 25-car field. Somewhat of a small field here today. Obviously, it's a longer track, a longer lap time, nearly 2 minutes long. So hopefully that'll mean that lap traffic plays less of a factor out there. As we take a look at the grid, downhill starting grid, a little bit unusual here in Suzuka, kind of notorious for that on its run down to the first corner. But we were talking a little bit before the broadcast on if there is going to be a fray into there. These cars carry a lot of speed, almost F1-like, the way the downforce allows them to scream into that corner. But the engines start to rev. The lights are up. Green flag is out here at round 4 of the American iRacing Thursday Series. Michael Overbay is the one with a bad start this time. Padavani streaks away from him. Kenny Duvall looking around the outside as we got a yellow car coming up the middle, making it 3 wide. And I believe that is Gritzko looking for a position. Actually, no, it's Curlin Andrew. And Andrew still trying to get his way past the likes of Eric Luke. They start to get single file as they now come through the S's for the first time.
Yes, indeed. Curlin Andrews with a beautiful start, getting up for the 7th to P5 now, and now has his sights set on Eric Luke for the 4th position now. As they come up through the Dunlop curve, it is still going to be Michael Overbay not in second place, followed by Padavani leading that race right now. Padavani with an excellent start as they make their way down into Degner 1.
Only off I saw was Guillaumin, and it was a minor one. It was coming into the S's. I think otherwise a clean start from everybody out there. But up at the front, Jefferson Padavani already 1.2 seconds over Overbay. And he's got Kenny Duval starting to chase him. Duval's been the man to watch in terms of one-lap pace. Can he manage to overtake the one-time winner, Michael Overbay?
Battle right behind for P4 as Eric Luke goes off through Spoon, as we also see now Gritzko get loose through right behind them. He has to check up and give way to drivers now. He's going down the front back straightaway right now, heading towards the 130R. He is losing several positions right now. So Gritzko now having a lot to catch up to right now.
9th position is where he finally settles in, but that's a lot of damage done to the number 28, considering he started this thing in 6th. They finally hit the Casio triangle for the first time. A few cars thinking about passes. A few cars out-braking themselves, actually. Danny Duchesne, one of them, and gets together a little bit with Tyler Gore as we follow the leaders down towards turn 1. Both of them managed to get away with it. And that settles in the favor of Duchesne in 13th, Gore in 14th. Meanwhile, Huffstetler has come into the pits. Is this due to damage or a jump start?
Could possibly be a jump start. Don't see any damage on Huffstetler's car.
In 4th place, got a little bit of a battle going on. Luke and Andrew still duking it out for that position. They trail behind Kenny Duval not too far. There's a great run out of the S's through Dunlop for Andrew. Gives him a peek, but not an opportunity as they hit the Degners. Coming out of these fast right-handers. Looks like this time, Eric Luke is the faster of the two. Back in the mid-pack, 11th place has a train of cars. It's being led by Andrew Spicer, Christian Gritzko, Duchesne, Gore, and Blasco all following, coming off the hairpin. A great run by Gritzko, looking to see if he can go the long way around Spicer up towards Spoon Curve. And I think he just runs out of steam. Is he going to try to send one in up into Spoon?
Nope, he's going to follow suit right now as we see Spicer is holding on to the best that he can. Gritzko having a little issues as we saw last time by, get loose off of there and lose position, but he is still putting the pressure on as best as he can, coming out of the Spoon, making it down to the 130R. He's closing in a little bit on Massilia, but not close enough for anything, but utilized a little bit of that slipstream to try and close the gap.
Up towards the Casio triangle. Spicer not needing to worry about a defensive move on Gritzko this time. They're starting to gain more friends. Gore had a little bit of a run wide through Spoon. That meant that Oliveira, Holly, and LeBaff have now joined the fun. They run down the backstretch and complete yet another lap. Up at the front, we haven't taken a look at it because not a lot has gone on. This gap has held station. Overbay still 1.2 behind Padavani. He's also been holding a gap to the car behind him, about half a second to the number 63 of Duval. He hasn't seen an opportunity to attack quite yet.
No, Luke is trying his best. Duval doing an excellent job of keeping pace, though, with Overbay. Andrew, on the other hand, has fallen back from Eric Luke, but has to worry a little bit of Owen McLaughlin, as McLaughlin is starting to close the gap as they come out of the second Degner down towards the hairpin. You have to be so careful in this section, as we looks like Duval try to take a peek on Overbay, and now Andrew washes up out of the hairpin.
Oh, we've had one of our first incidents in this race where I think a driver may have hit the wall. Nope, I think he avoided it. We've got the replay. Is this our... Didn't touch the inside curb here, Taylor, but Degner still cost him.
As we watch the replay right now, Tyler Gore coming down into Degner 1. Canadian driver then goes a little bit offline into the gravel a little bit and then loses it. I think he might have clipped just barely, but doesn't make any contact with anyone. Just gets stuck in the field there.
Has to wait for all those cars to get by, and as you said, as return is all the way down to 22nd. That's a lot of positions lost. Let's jump back up to the leaders, though, because Duval still applying quite a bit of pressure to the likes of Overbay. And don't forget Eric Luke behind them as well. He's now about equidistant to Duval, as Duval is to Michael.
Oh, he gets a great run going out of corner 1 and 2 right now, but has to back off just a little bit to run it from keep him running out into the back end of Duval up through the S as they climb now. And I look behind them. Andrew gets a really good run up there and is closing back up to the back bumper of Eric Luke now, coming out of the final S part of the S's up to Dunlop. I tell you what, Duval is really trying the best to put that pressure on Overbay, but watch out for Eric Luke and Curlin Andrew. These guys might have something for him tonight.
Yeah, they're certainly licking their chops, hoping for an opportunity, but this has been one of the more calm races we've seen, especially among the leaders. Maybe they've been paying attention to how many mistakes have happened in the previous races and have decided to back it off just a hair, try to get to the finish as we ride on board with Andrew. He chases the likes of Luke just ahead of him. There you see in the red and black machine, the tail of the train of 4 cars, all trying to chase down second place Overbay.
Gotta be so careful through Spoon. It's easy to wash up and go into the tarmac a little bit over the curbs. That will cost you to slow down, or maybe even give you a slowdown penalty if you go too far over that. So you have to be mindful of that situation, as well as also possibly an incident point could be given to you as well.
Second place was getting awful close, but this is the first time I've seen a real bad case of the wake having an effect on these battles, because Duval was within 0.2, and then when they went through 130 R Taylor, it looked like that car washed out bad.
Yeah, it did wash up and got a little bit loose coming out of the 130R now, and now he has to catch up again after gaining so much time. These cars, when they get behind another one, it works on straightaways, but when it comes to setting up for high-speed corners, it's very difficult to control the car. You have to let off just a little bit in order to make that corner. Now, as it looks right now, Kenny Duval has to close that gap back up.
Spicer's lost a bunch of positions, and I think this all basically happened in the Casio Triangle. Let's take a look at the replay. He was battling with the likes of Gritzko. He's got the run on him coming up to 130R. He manages to actually get side by side and gets through, but Gritzko fights back. And then watch Spicer here. Gets on the brakes a little bit too late, off the course, and, well, that hurt a lot worse than he probably would have liked.
Yep, slowdown penalty and possibly a little damage to the under tray of that car, so he's going to have to see what he can do to try to get that fixed when he comes down pit road, if there is any damage, but still have to be careful and make some catch-up right now. He's got his eyes set on Danny Duchesne in the 12th position just in front of him as they go down into the hairpin. Coming out of there, he gets a nice, decent run. Not close enough right now, still about half a second back from Danny Duchesne.
Again, that's for 12th, but let's jump back up to second place again because it's getting close like it did last time. Let's watch closely here. This is Duval in the 63 chasing the white and navy blue car of Overbay. Yeah, wow, look at him fall back.
Yeah, that high-speed corner, but he looks how much he gains right there, though, going through the Casio Triangle. Real great effort to catch back up, but it looks like we see Overbay gets a great run off corner exit of that chicane section and now makes a run down the front straightaway.
Do you think it'd be possible for Duval to do what we saw with the likes of Gritzko and Spicer, where maybe if he can get side by side, the pass is doable?
Yeah, if he's able to get side by side, there will definitely be an opportunity for Duval to get by Overbay. But first, he's got to get side by side with him, and it's very difficult right now for him. He's trying the best that he can, but he just can't seem to find a way to get close to the deal. As we look to the battle for P9, that battle is quite heating up right now, Joe.
Yep, Massalia has 2 cars really hungry to get by, Harmon and Gritzko, especially Gritzko at this point, I would assume. Considering he started this race in 6th position. He's down in 11th right now. He's climbing all over the back of Eric Harmon. And as they come up to the Degners, he's going to back off, give them a little bit of space. Ooh, wow, look at him. Game, though, through the first of those apexes.
I don't think he gave any space that time, Joe. He's now going to try to see if he can make a peek for the pass. We see Harmon take a little bit of defensive. Contact! That is something you don't want to do. Let's get a replay of that if we can. That was a little bit too close for comfort.
Let's take a look on this one. Harmon gets turned around. It looked like he was thinking of the pass, but maybe a little bit too late. That was right on top of him.
He was. I mean, he gained so much time going through the first Degner. And then we see Harmon take a little bit of that defensive line heading towards the hairpin, which we thought he was going to hold line there. But then he washed it up, goes up a little bit. And then I think maybe Gritzko tried to go underneath, but just was not clear enough to make that pass. As we go back live now to Eric Harmon and see where he is on track, see how much time he's lost. He's currently dropped to P15 and has to catch up now about 4 seconds back from Oliveira.
And Andrew seems like he's going to be the first to take a scheduled stop here with 33 minutes left to go on the clock. The banana split car trundling down the lane looking for his stall. Up at the top of the screen, just before this happened, I noticed Padavani set the fastest lap at a 54.3, and Duval, seconds later, hit a 54.1 and took away that fastest lap. The 63 is on a charge, but he's kind of plugged up still. He's got Michael Overbay in front of him and has not been able to overtake.
Yeah, almost it seems like Overbay is kind of like that cork in a bottle that's preventing Duval to catch up to Padavani. I think once Duval is able to get by Overbay, we may see a battle as Duval gets him.
Again. Yeah. This one in Degner too. Let's take a look at the replay. It's those curbs. Watch him hit the second apex here.
Starts in the middle between those two, and then it just continues on to the second one. Unfortunately, this time he's not made any contact with anyone and gets it turned back around, but he's going to lose a lot of position, drop down currently to the 5th position. So not too terribly bad, but still a lot of ground to catch up now.
I feel like if Kenny could sort out his racecraft as we take a look at 10th with Duchesne and Spicer, Kenny could be a champion, but he's his own worst enemy. Oof, going really wide. Spicer trying to carry the speed, following behind Duchesne. They climb up the backstretch toward 130R. We've seen the leaders have trouble following. Let's see about the mid-pack. Are they able to stay in a line through this sweeper? No. Spicer falls back and then some.
Lost a lot of time going through the 130R, and now gains a little bit of time going through Casio. Let's see what he does, but he does bring in a little bit of triumph right behind him. That's the driver of Bradley Hawley, though. He's been doing quite well, working his way up through the field, currently sitting in P12. He's going to try to close that gap now to Andrew Spicer. Maybe take a peek before they get to the first corner.
Decides to hold back. It's fast into that little kink that leads you into 2. So for now, Spicer is going to hold on to it, even though he gets a bad exit. No place to go into the S's. Bradley Hawley sits behind as they now go single file, back and forth, back and forth.
And that section of the S's is almost, you have to have a perfect rhythm through there in order to be able to get through there. No problems and no issues at all. Sometimes it's very easy to do. Sometimes you feel like you can never make the perfect line through that section. But he is trying the best to close back in as they go out of the first Degner, out of the second Degner, now making the run down towards the hairpin.
This fight stayed very, very close here. Essentially for 10th place is Duchesne up at the front. They're not too far back from the car ahead, but now they're going to be ahead of him because that's Matthew Gunderson in the wall. And we see yet another car, another driver struggling with slow corners in this high downforce car.
Yeah, the car just gets out from under him when he made that coming out of the hairpin. Very easy to do through that low-speed corner.
Ugh, the Canadian finds himself having to take a tow because of that. So we come back to that battle between Duchesne, Spicer, and Hawley. Spicer gains a A little bit of a different line allows him to really carry the momentum. Now he looks to the inside down to the Casio triangle as they break for the chicane. Can he get it woed up in time? Just barely. But now he's got to get it off the corner. Duchesne gets checked up because he can't. Oh, and they come together. Duchesne hits the pit entry wall. And Bradley Hawley follows him in as Duchesne tumbles up and onto his lid. And this all started because Spicer outbraked himself and couldn't get the power down. And it was an accordion effect. Poor Duchesne came out the worst of it. Yeah, Canadians are dropping like flies.
They are. I mean, it's almost sad to see these drivers. I mean, Duchesne having a really good run here tonight, and then unfortunately it happens coming out of Casio. Unfortunate to see for the Canadian driver here tonight.
So that bumps Spicer up to 9th. Esteverson Oliveira now gets promoted to 10th, having taken those positions because of both of those drivers needing to take repairs. This is Mark Feil, though. Ooh, what happened to Eric Harmon here?
He went way too wide through Dunlop by the looks of it and went into the grass. Was able to save it, though. Fortunately, not getting any major contact. Just went through the kitty litter into the gravel traps. Very good recovery, surprisingly. But it looks like he just overshot the corner completely.
And it looked like he was going to recover, but watch here. Oh, just a really bad bounce. He could have gotten back on without losing too much, but unfortunately, the terrain decided that it was not going to be flat today. So Eric Harmon now down to 13th. 27 minutes to go. The battle for 6 still pretty tight. This is Gritzko and Feil. Gritzko on his recovery drive has now gotten back to where he started, on the grid at least. The highest pitter right now is Andrew, still down in 17th.
Yeah, not far behind him is Massilia, and Enzo Massilia doing a great job here trying to stay up with these two of Feil, as well as they come out of the first two corners, going up through the S's. You gotta be so careful not to hit the curbing too much, or you will easily spin that car around. Gritzko on the drive to recovery right now to catch back up to the rest of the top 5. He's got a little work to do.
Looking through our drivers, one who has made an incredible climb is Spicer. He started this thing in 17th. And that was with a qualifying time. He's in 9th right now. Granted, he's got a big gap up to Massalia, who's in 8th. It's about 6 seconds or so. But still, I mean, we're almost halfway through this race, and Spicer's looking pretty handy.
Well, you think about it like we talked about before, keeping your nose clean, and you will be rewarded for that. As we see right now, started 17th, worked his way back up to the 9th position. So just smart driving, keeping it clean. This is a good spin. It's going to be a good race for Andrew Spicer if he's able to keep it clean for the remaining 26 minutes left on the clock.
Ooh, let's go back to Curlin Andrew. Remember, he is a little bit out of position, and he's right now hassling the likes of David Hebert up into the hairpin. Hebert going defensive. He's not going to give this one up easily, but he outbrakes himself as he swings wide. Andrew back up to 14th.
Curlin Andrew doing the best that he can to try to catch up to the best of the field as he can before the rest of the field starts pitting. He wants to try to get closer, at least maybe to that top 10, so that way it's going to be a little easier when the pit stop cycle starts rolling around.
Oof, we have had a high attrition rate in the first half of this race. Looks like we have only 18 cars left. The last of them running is Christopher Richards. And then he's actually multiple laps down from the next one up, which is Tyler Gore in 17th. This is our tightest battle on track, back to Feil. We've got a few more pitters happening right now. John LaBaffe decides to come in. We had a car with a little bit of a connection problem. Andrew Spicer disappeared for a second. Let's hope that stays steady. Oh, or was it Duval? Was it Duval that I was looking at? Because he just had a tow. Oh my goodness. Duval had a problem again. This was in the S's. Riding on board. And he's all on his own. There's nobody behind him right now as we rode on board. One curb, then the other curb. Maybe a little too much. Yes, indeed, as it turns around slowly. And he decides to take a tow after this one.
The curb takes another victim here tonight at Suzuka. This time it was Kenny Duval. And I tell you what, Joe, I really feel bad for Kenny. I mean, he's such a fast and wonderful driver to watch here on track, but it seems like every time he has to start a good run, something always ends up getting him or biting him in the end.
All right, we've had an interesting development. Our leader, Jefferson Padavani, has pitted. Now, before that, Michael Overbay had run him down to within a second. And I'm not sure if this is due to traffic or if Padavani made a mistake or what. So he now finds himself in his stall, the Brazilian, waiting patiently for his service to be done. Curlin Andrews, still our highest pitter. As Padavani finishes his work, heads back out. And he is going to return in 9th place, but he's going to be behind a little bit of traffic. He's got Oliveira and Spicer ahead of him.
That currently puts him as our highest pitter right now. He's got his eyes set on Oliveira, going to try to close that gap. But look at the gap between him and Eric Harmon. No pressure at all for him. About a good 13 seconds back. So he can focus on the track, keeping his nose clean, and maybe might have an opportunity to get back up to the lead when the other drivers start making their pit stop.
All right, put yourself in Overbay's shoes here. Do you pit now? And respond, or do you stay out?
This is that critical moment to determine whether or not you need to come in. I would seriously consider coming in pit road right now and try to get in front of Padavani. So I think I would come in right now if I was Michael Overbay.
All right, he comes around 130R. He's also got Eric Luke within about 2.7 seconds, holding on to the back of him. Through the Casio triangle, does Overbay respond? He does not. He's going to stay out. 22 minutes left to go. We have passed the halfway point. Eric Luke also stays out. 3rd place, Owen McLaughlin does not pit. Going to 4th, Gritzko leading, File leading, Massalia. 3 cars in a line.
Yeah, these three have not been quite able to separate each other. Gritzko, File, and Massalia. Gritzko's doing the best that he can to try to hold off File. Is the closest competition he's had to deal with as it goes through the first 2 corners. Massalia gets a great run on corner entry. Let's see if he can get it off a corner exit as they're coming up onto some lap traffic right in front of him. This is going to hold up Gritzko just a little bit, possibly, which will help bring in File and Massalia, but he's able to get by him real quick. It looks like the lap car will let him go. No issues at all. Gritzko doing the best that he can as they make the run up to Dunlop.
Great heads up. That was Phil Guillaumin who pulled out of the way. We saw on screen briefly Spicer has come and pitted, and this is great news actually for Padavani because that's one less car he needs to overtake. But the other driver, Esteverson Oliveira, is still out and still in front of him. He could be slowing him down.
Yeah, this could be very critical. Estevan Oliveira doing what he needs to do, keep his position and run his race, but this is not what Jefferson Padavani needs. He needs to try to find a way to get by quickly as they come out of Degner down towards the hairpin. He's going to try the long way around and take the outside group and makes a beautiful pass off the hairpin and now make the way through the back straightaway towards the Spoon corner.
Move Padavani up to 7th now. And with a heap of time between himself and the next car, which is Phil Guillaumin. So he might actually be able to get his pace back up. But is that going to be enough damage to allow Overbay to get by? Overbay does not respond this time. He stays out for yet another lap. In fact, all of the top 3 do not pit.
Let's see what Christian Gritzko does along with his 3 drivers that are here. Oh, he spins off of Casio into the barrier.
And he's facing the wrong way. He's going to try and turn around. Hopefully he doesn't get a penalty. And he goes back out.
Well, that's the way to do it. Of course, I would have probably went ahead and come down pit road. I mean, you're already down there. Might as well go ahead and finish up the job.
Yeah, you've got damage and everything. So maybe he didn't mean to head for the pits. Maybe he just spun the tires.
I think it was a mix of that, spun tires, and hitting that curbing a little too much. And then down into the barrier he goes. That's some hard contact to the nose of that radical. It's going to really affect the car completely.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think I would have gone down and just taken my stop then. But he's lucky, if anything, it did not get... and is Padavani now in the midst of things? This is him right behind Gritzko.
Yes, indeed. So another driver that Padavani will hopefully get by quickly now as they make the run out of the second Degner now. And it looks like Padavani's going to try to maybe take a peek before they get to the hairpin. Let's see what he does. He's going to take a peek to the inside now. Gritzko goes the long way. And I think Padavani will get him off corner exit. Not entirely. He's going to have to wait a few minutes and try to see if he can get into the slipstream down this little stretch of road before they get to Spoon. Let's see what he can do going down. And he looks to the inside, side by side. They're going to go into Spoon. I think Padavani is going to get that position easily. Now Gritzko has to battle with Esteban Oliveira now.
And as this was happening, Overbay decided now was the time to pit. This actually might be the best time for him to pit, with Padavani being slowed up by Gritzko with his damaged car. This is Padavani that we're watching through 130R up towards the Casio Triangle. Overbay just now hitting his pit stall. He's up towards the front, waiting for his service to be done. We ride on board with the Ohio driver. Waiting. It's about 13 seconds for a regular stop. He's done just under 13 seconds. Where's Padavani? He's got a head of steam. It's going to be very, very close as he tries to get his speed up to the first corner, but Padavani is by. Just feet to spare between them.
Very impressive job by Padavani. That's what he needed to do in order to get by Overbay, and does an excellent job. Now he is going to be our highest pitter right now, as still Eric Luke, Owen McLaughlin, and Enzo Massalia are currently now your new top three. But looking at the time charts right now, nope, it seems like Padavani is still quite a ways back from Massalia, about a good 10 seconds, but could close in if Massalia decides to come down pit road.
After all that, it's a 1.2 second gap between them. Looking at this battle for 6 just behind them, this is Oliveira and Gritzko. Oliveira just recently overtook Christian, and I'm thinking that Christian might be a bit of a lame duck because that car does not look fast in a straight line. Oh, who's that? Well, that was Gilman, still just letting cars by.
Gilman's doing a really good job of letting these faster drivers by, not getting in their way. As they're now making a run to Spoon, it looks like Gritzko is not going to be able to do anything with Oliveira. He closes in on the corner, but just, of course, with the damage to that nose of the car, that's affecting the aerodynamics, and that just allows Oliveira to just pull away, especially down the back straightaway, heading down for the run to 130R. So beautiful job of what Oliveira is doing, gaining a lot of positions here tonight.
I tell you what, Overbay's not done with things yet. He's about 2 or 3 tenths closer since they came out of the pits to Jefferson. I'm really confused here because I would have thought that if he's got faster pace, it seemed like he had clear air and he should have easily jumped Padavani in the pit stops, but he did not. And now he's catching him again. Massalia comes in, that gives them one more place. They're still waiting for McLaughlin and Luke to pit, and then they will re-inherit first and second.
It must have been a strategy that one of these drivers tried to do to see if they can maybe try to jump. I think maybe Padavani had a little bit of a faster stop, but was just able to get the power down a little bit easier once he got back on track compared to Overbay. So we'll have to really keep an eye on this battle now, as we're waiting to see when our top 2 currently of Luke as well as McLaughlin decide to come down. I
hate to shoot holes in your theory, but I'm looking at the times, and overall, Padavani was half a second quicker than Overbay from cone to cone. And that looks like that was all made up in the pit stall, as he was about half a second faster. Or no, actually, it was switched around. Overbay was half a second faster than Padavani there.
Yeah, that half second, which it is surprising that we do not see Overbay still, but I still think it was due to the fact that he decided to pit so later compared to Padavani. And while Padavani was able to continue on the track, we had to see Overbay come to that stop and not respond quickly enough, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what exactly went down, because Padavani was held up and Overbay was not. But Overbay has seemed so fast. Now, he has lost time, or we were debating this. It's 1.3 once again. It's yo-yoing back and forth. So maybe that's what it was, is just they're not consistent in pace, and it just happened to swing in favor of Padavani enough that he was able to stay ahead. They are coming up on a little bit of traffic. Matthew Gunderson is ahead of these two, and I wonder if that could play a part.
Most definitely that could play a part. We've seen in this series time and time again how lap traffic can be a major factor for our top front runners right now as they're closing in on them as they go into the first corner.
Overbay still giving chase. This is our closest battle right now, is between these two, and even though it is currently for third and fourth, it will be for the lead once we get McLaughlin and Luke in. 13 minutes to go. We should see most drivers pit soon.
Eric Luke doing a really good job right now, but soon will have to come down pit road to complete his stop. But really impressive run for tonight, Joe. I mean, Eric Luke worked his way up, is now currently holding on to the lead right now, keeping his car clean as best that he can. I mean, I don't see a speck of damage on that car at all.
Helped somewhat by strategy, as he still needs to take a pit stop. But I believe he should be looking at third or fourth when all is said and done. It comes around 130R, the number 09, approaching the pits. Hits the final chicane. Does he come in this time? A little bit wide on that first apex. Compromises his second one. Nope. He's going to stay out for another one. Oh, and that's not going to help. Going way wide out into the grass on the final corner.
Owen McLaughlin now coming out of Catsio Triangle. Let's see if he's going to stay out as well. We could be seeing these drivers come in maybe within under 10 minutes to make their first and final pit stop. This is something we'll have to keep an eye on now, as they're now making the run down to first corner.
McLaughlin following Luke around for now. Is this going to be another Tsukuba for us? Are we going to see drivers manage to go the entire race on one tank of fuel? This is a much longer track, so you certainly don't want to mess it up here.
Yeah, but due to the fact they have such a big gap, they kind of can also do a little bit of fuel conservation as well, letting off a little bit early in the corners before they make their way into the hairpin, maybe even not using the brakes a whole lot, just taking their time a little bit as well. But still, it's very difficult.
The 617 takes his stop from 6th place. Little bit of damage on the right front I'm seeing for the New Yorker. And Karsten Quint is going to follow him in. Quint's been having a fantastic run. Now, he didn't qualify. He was not able to get time in, so he started from 24th. But he's come through a lot of cars, and I'm pretty certain... Let's see where he's going to come out exactly here. I believe in 14th or 13th.
Yeah, really good run by Karsten Quinn. Always a pleasure to see him racing, doing a great job, as he's now might have to be battling with John Labath, as they're now he's coming out of pit road. I think Tyler Gore also, right? Tyler Gore's a little bit too far back.
Yeah, yep. So he'll be out in 13th, just ahead of Gore. Oh, and Luke finally pits. Our leader finally comes in. McLaughlin is going to follow him. And finally, Padavani will re-inherit the lead. And he's started to stretch out over Overbay. It's 2.3 seconds between them.
Yeah, Padavani was able to pull a very nice gap over Overbay. I mean, I'm wondering if Overbay is just not being consistent enough to keep up with Padavani. I mean, Padavani is running very decent lap time. His last here as he comes down the front straightaway, passing both Luke and McLaughlin. But looking at his last lap time, it was in the 154s. Let's see what Michael Overbay did. He was about, let's see here, about 6 seconds, a couple of seconds off by the looks of it, so not close enough maybe to possibly put in a good lap time.
And let's see here. One thing that I find interesting looking at the points situation as Gritzko pits now is the only driver, I believe, with 2 podiums is Overbay. He's the only driver who's repeated on the podium. This will be his 3rd if he manages this one. And Padovani is nowhere near him in the points, so he doesn't have to worry about finishing behind him. The only driver up in the top 5 that is really anywhere close to him in points right now looks to be Owen McLaughlin, well, and Mark File, I should say. So McLaughlin and File, who are both multiple positions behind him. So maybe Overbay is just playing it smart here in points racing.
Well, consistency is key, especially when you want to go for a championship, and Overbay has definitely shown that this entire season with those podiums that he needs to try and do in order to maybe try and continue to either catch up to the points lead or maybe even take the points lead after tonight's race.
And that's what's so fascinating to me, Taylor, is that we've been wondering, when are we going to see someone who is going to be a player for the championship? So many fast drivers that keep throwing away good results, and we've had mixed up results and 3 different winners. Now we're going to have our 4th different winner of the season in 4 races. But Michael Overbay is a continuing presence, race after race now. Is he the one that drivers maybe need to start to put a target on? So right on board with him with 7.5 minutes left to go, and most of the battles starting to break up.
You gotta remember, Michael Overbay is a very talented driver. I mean, we've seen him go up the likes of drivers such as Ben Perez, Christian Eisler in the GT series, so I'm pretty sure he learned a thing or 2 when it comes to just showing consistency on the track. And Overbay himself was a very good driver in the GT series, so over here in the Radicals, as we see some of those, not some of those GT drivers coming over here, but still, he's able to show his strength by just making sure he consistently finishes within that podium position.
Back in 12th, we've got a little bit of a battle starting to happen. This is Quint and Gore. Quint leads Tyler for the moment. In the blue and green machine, this car that we are on board with right now, the orange and black, is Tyler Gore. This is our closest fight on the track. Number 55 ahead of the number 77.
Yep, as they go down into the first corner, we see Tyler Gore trying to close in that gap on Karsten Quint. Out of the first corner, they go into the S's. Just this nice rhythm, careful with the curbing. We see Karsten go a little bit over it. Carefully, he's able to maneuver through there nice and smoothly. Tyler's trying to find a way to close that gap. I think Karsten might have got a little bit wide off of the second half of the S's, and Tyler Gore gets a great run as they make the run up to Dunlop. He tries to take a peek to the inside, not close enough. Let's see what he can do going into Degner 1. Goes to the inside, might be able to complete the pass. No, it looks like Karsten Quint will outbrake him, and he goes off course. Off course, this will give the position over to Tyler Gore, and Karsten Quint into the walls right there. That's going to cause some major damage to that car there, Joe.
Oof. Absolutely. I was going to say it didn't seem like a legitimate move. Just tried to shake him, and well, it worked. He shook him right off the track and into the tires. As we jump over to Andrew Spicer now. He is up to 9th position, having started 17th. So Karsten Quint finds himself having to take a tow into the pits. Another DNF here today. So we have now only 17 cars left out of 25 starters. Padovani, he's holding the gap over Bay at about 2.3 seconds back. Now he's not falling off. He's maintaining his position currently. So if Padovani makes a mistake, the race could yet still be on. But it doesn't seem like the number 23 is sweating it too much right now.
Nope, just running his race, focusing on the track, as well as he's making the back straightaway run down to the 130R. Great run through there, carries a lot of speed and momentum through there as they make the run down to Casio Triangle. Beautifully onto the brakes, careful not to go over those curbs too much. Don't want to get a cut course penalty or an incident point. And it looks like Overbay went through there nice and smooth as well, but he has to worry about lap traffic in front of him. Needs to get by him as quick as he can.
Absolutely. Now down to under 4 minutes left to go. It's going to be a little bit tight on how many laps we get. And it makes me wonder who filled up enough fuel if we get that extra lap. See, the problem with these timed races, Taylor, is sometimes you have to give leeway.
Yeah, you really have to know when is that right fuel amount that you need to put in the car. I mean, we've seen drivers able to pull some amazing fuel runs here in this series, but still, just that one small miscalculation can cost you big time, especially at a track like this to where, you know, there's no opportunity for you to get back to the start-finish line. As we ride on board with Eric Luke right now, he's about some 4 seconds, almost 5 seconds back from Michael Overbay, but has no pressure at all from behind him as he's got about an 8-second gap over Owen McLaughlin. So he's kind of in his own little bubble right now, but still could have a good run if something happens to either Overbay or Padovani.
And Luke missed out on a good finish last time at Road Atlanta. I'm trying to figure out, look at my notes and see what exactly happened to him. But I remember he was up towards the front early on and then was one of the many drivers who had a problem throughout the race. So this podium will be very much appreciated, I imagine, by the 09.
Yes, it will, because I don't think no driver had a really good run except for Wildridge at Road Atlanta. So this will be a nice welcoming for Eric Luke up to the podium if he's able to keep it on track for these final 2 minutes left on the timer.
Down towards the Casio Triangle. Where is Padovani? He crosses the line with about 2 minutes left. So he will get one more lap when he comes back around. This is 2 to go.
We're looking at lap times around the 1:54 bracket, so he was just shy of getting that 1 to go. So he's got 2 more laps to complete. So let's see if he's able to hold on right now. Overbay just holding position, not putting a whole lot of pressure, not really gaining at the moment, but just holding his line, holding his race, and hopefully we'll come home in the second position.
It's been 45 minutes here in round 4 of the American iRacing Thursday Series. We're watching our second place driver, Michael Overbay, still losing time. Now 3.3 behind Padovani, and now blinking on top of it. Let's hope that that stops before the race is over. He's being followed by Eric Luke, having started in 4th, has done one better. He's going to get a podium if he can just keep this up. The driver behind him has done the same. Owen McLaughlin, who currently is 4th, is started from 5th position. This has been a calm run from Owen. And then how about the driver in 5th position as well? Mark Feil in the 777 from 8th to 5th, making up for his mistakes at Road Atlanta. We're seeing a much more mature drive from a number of our front runners throughout this field. And with 30 seconds to go, the white flag starts to get pulled out from the flag stand on the front stretch. And Jefferson Padovani hits the Casio Triangle through both apexes and up to the line with just a few seconds left to go. Is looking to take his first win of the season here.
Great effort so far by Jefferson Padovani. Had almost pretty much threw a win away last round at Road Atlanta, but made a nice redemption race here today at Suzuka as the battle for P7, Joe. That's heating up right now a little bit.
Gritsko and Oliveira. Gritsko had to get a little bit of damage repaired, I would assume. Oliveira, who is much faster in a straight line, is going to make very easy work of him. Now grabbing that 7th position. That's got to be frustrating, knowing he's so close to the end. Gritsko, yet again, finds himself not... Oh, as he runs into the back of Esteverson into the Casio triangle. I think they both got away with it.
I think Oliveira got a little bit away with it more than Gritsko, because he had just put a lot more damage to the nose of the car. As we go back to Padovani.
Yep, I think that's going to settle that battle out, because I'm not sure that Gritsko will really have an answer unless there's an error from Esteverson. Up to Spoon. Jefferson Padovani. He put it on pole. And actually, is this the first time we've had the pole sitter take the win? I believe it is, because Duval was on pole at Tsukuba and did not win there. Now, Padovani did manage to finish 3rd on that race, but this time he's going to do 2 better. Through 130R, now up to the Casio triangle. This one has got to feel good for the Brazilian. As he comes out of the final chicane, the checkered flag waves up ahead. It is a 2.7 second gap at the line, and Jefferson Padovani is going to take the win in Japan. Michael Overbay finishes just behind him in 2nd place, with Eric Luke finishing out your podium.
Congratulations to Jefferson Padovani. I mean, beautiful run here, start to finish from the lead. I mean, you can't get more dominant in a race than that.
We're watching Esteverson here, still in 7th, looking well clear of Gritsko. So I think he should be okay. Let's hope Gritsko can manage to get the car woed up into the final chicane this time, as they break for that last corner. This time, a lot more clean. Esteverson qualified 15th, finishes 7th. Woo. Gritsko goes backwards, though, from 6th to 8th. Spicer manages to recover to 9th and started in 17th.
That is what I call a run of the race right there. I mean, 17th to a top 10. That's a very good job for Andrew Spicer.
Last of the cars, not really battling. It's going to be Harmon, Gore, and LeBaff finishing us out on the lead lap. Only 12 cars on the lead lap on this long, long circuit. Just a lot of attrition, and I guess it separated the good from the only average around here, this driver's track. We're going to go to break here on the Global SimRacing Channel and the iRacing eSports Network. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews. Of course, on screen, you're going to see all the upcoming races here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Welcome back to Suzuka Circuit. We just watched round 4 in the American iRacing Thursday series, and we have our 4th different winner in 4 races here. Jefferson Padavani takes the top spot this time, but the driver we've now finally been able to single out as one to look to for the championship is Michael Overbay. He takes 2nd place and should retain his points lead. Eric Luke rounds out our podium. Owen McLaughlin with a calm 4th place for him, and Mark Feil as well manages to get a top 5. Enzo Massalia, a nice climb up to the top 10. He finishes in 6th. Esteverson Oliveira as well, taking 7th out from outside the top 10. Christian Gritzko finishes in 8th. A late race problem cost him. Andrew Spicer, another driver making incredible inroads from 17th to 9th. And then rounding out our top 10 which is where he started, interestingly enough, is Eric Harmon.
Finishing in the 11th position will go to Tyler Gore, followed by John Labath in the 12th position. David Hebert will finish in the 13th position, followed by Phil Gilman in 14th. Bradley Holly will come home in 15th position, followed by Karsten Quint in 16th. Christopher Richards will finish in 17th position, followed by Matthew Gunderson in 18th. Curlin Andrew will come home in a disappointing 19th position, and Kenny Duval also round out your top 20.
Danny Duchesne finishes 21st. One of our DNFs out there today. Ronald McManus, 22nd. Charles Huffstetler, 23rd. And then Alberto Blasco, 24th. And Matthew Fraley, I believe, was a did not start. Let's go to the interviews. We've got our winner waiting in the wings for us to talk to him, Jefferson Padavani, who started on pole and finished in 1st, but didn't lead every lap. Jefferson, you were one of the first drivers to come in and pit, and we thought for sure you were going to get jumped by Overbay, but you were not. Was that a worry for you as well?
Yeah, Joe. It starts to be really scary after the half of the race. We realized during the practice that the track gets really slippery during the race, and because the weather gets hotter and everything. But me and my buddy did a little change on the setup. That Jesus Christ, it was really lose the car. So I decided to get in the pits to calm down, to take out a little bit of warm of the tires, to cool down the tires. But I forgot that I would got some traffic. So it was I didn't thought that I could be in front of him. I thought that I would be back, but well. That was a really intense race. Wow.
Now, we also noticed that even though it seemed like you pulled a slight gap of about 2 seconds before you pitted, suddenly, right before you pit, he was down to a second. Was that more due to mistakes, or was Michael really, was he just gunning you down?
No. Michael was having a lot of problems of internet today. He was stuttering a lot, and when some things like this is happening to you, it's really easy to lose the focus. So, and I love this track. I really like Suzuka, but it's really technical. And this situation with this car, it was really easy to do mistakes. So you guys can realize from the half of the race to the end, the lap times increased drastically. So we are really going easy with the car, but probably Michael had some mistake or some incident during this lap.
Well, that obviously will give you a little bit of a boost in the points, but what about next week going to Imola? That's another very technical circuit, but a lot more chicanes over there.
Yes. I count with my buddy, with Michael, to do a nice setup for this car, because this car can handle curbs, but you really need to tickle the right buttons and the right things on setup. And Michael is a pro in this, and all of the stuff that I am doing here is really because of him. He knows how to put the car in a good shape for the track. I want to congratulate Eric Luke, my other buddy, a very nice podium. And it's impressive how Enzo Jesus Massaglia, jumping from P14 to P6 in the end of the race. Nice too.
Yeah, we were impressed with him and a number of other drivers that made their way forward. Congratulations on a win here at Suzuka, and we hope to see you next week.
Yeah, hope to see you soon, guys. Thank you. Thank you so much.
No problem. Next up is Michael Overbay, and Taylor has caught up with our driver who is still our points leader now.
Yes, indeed. Here with points leader Michael Overbay. Michael, really good run in the second place, but it seems like you had a little issues with connection and internet. Tell us a little bit about that as well as your race here tonight at Suzuka.
Yeah, that was a tough race to run with the internet just constantly in and out the whole time. But I'm just happy to be second. I mean, thank goodness. Congratulations to Jefferson. He ran a great race, and he was going to be tough to beat anyway. But I'm happy with that second place. If Eric caught up to me, I was just going to let him go because I didn't want to wreck somebody.
Now, we're looking at it, and we noticed that you have several podiums, one of the only few drivers that have multiple podiums this season. Are you just trying to look for consistency in order to try and build that points gap to possibly even maybe take home the championship?
Well, that's the idea, hopefully, is to just, take a little bit. Like today, I put more wing in it than I normally would just to be more conservative so I didn't spin it. But next week, I think I need to give Jefferson a different set so he doesn't beat me.
Yes, tell us a little bit about what your plans are for Imola.
Oh, Imola is absolutely one of my favorite tracks on this whole service. So, yeah, hopefully we'll go for a first there.
All right. Well, congratulations again on your podium finish here at Suzuka. Look forward to seeing you next week at Imola.
Thank you. And good job, guys. You guys do a great job.
And that was Michael Overbay. And Joe, I believe you caught up with our final driver on the podium, Eric Luke.
Absolutely. Eric Luke from Florida manages to run something of a quiet race, but spent quite a bit of time up at the front before he finally pitted. Eric, you started out holding on to the leaders, and then it felt like they were stretching away a little bit. Did you kind of give up on trying to get first or second and just settle for third, or were you pushing the whole time?
No. I stayed with the guys from the start. Jefferson got this dreamy start. He pulled away from Overbay and Kenny. And once those guys started to break away from me, and I built up about a 10-second lead to fourth, I wasn't going to be able to catch them, so I just backed off the pace and just let the race go.
Well, it seemed to work in your favor. Was that influenced a little bit by what we've seen in previous races with this car? It seems like a lot of drivers have struggled simply to finish without errors. Does that influence your decision to back off?
The weather has a lot to do with it. About midway through the race, we had some cloud cover come over, which lowered the track temp a little bit, bringing grip back just a little bit more. But once the track starts getting hot and greasy, you just got to kind of back the pace off, or you're going to lose it. So it was kind of just timed that way.
Now, over in the GTE cars on Tuesday nights, we've seen most drivers tend to go for a long first stint, pit late, and then finish things off real quick. And that's kind of what you did here. Are you just kind of carrying that over from the Tuesday series and applying the same logic to here?
I was kind of hoping that at about the time that Overbay had pitted, which put me up in the first place because Jefferson had pitted early that time to cool his tires down. The track started to cool down a little bit, so I was hoping what I could do is just kind of to grind out some really quick laps in hopes that my pit stop with short fuel would allow me to leapfrog over Overbay for second, but it didn't quite work out that way.
Well, that's a shame that it didn't get you anything, but even still, keeping the third place, I'm sure, is plenty satisfying. I assume we're going to see you in a week's time when we go to Italy?
Yes, I will see you guys in a week. You guys are doing a great job. A big shout out again to HFD1 Motorsports for the sponsor, our sponsor Fraley Auto Body. And I'd like to give a shout out to two new viewers of yours, Thermal Paste and Chase. Thank you very much, guys.
Awesome. Well, thanks for talking to us. That was Eric Luke, third place finisher here today in the bottom step of the podium. That's going to round things out as we close up here at GSRC. Again, we also want to thank HFD1 Motorsports once again for sponsoring this season and bringing it to air. And another thank you goes to iRacing for putting us on the iRacing eSports network. And we can't encourage you enough to subscribe to IESN while you've got the opportunity. You're already on here. Just hit that big red button. A big thank you goes to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast. You can see them listed here on your screen. And additional thanks go to Eric Ekholm and June Lalonde, who provide our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. Thanks to the team today, Taylor, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. You can also check us out on social media, on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. As we mentioned, we are going over to Imola next week. That'll certainly provide a challenge for these drivers. That'll be Thursday, January 31st at 9 p.m. Eastern. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.